Nigeria has many environmental problems. These problems are deforestation, desertification, industrial water, chemical and oil pollution. Others are erosion, flood and sanitation. All these have greatly affected the ecological make of the country. Resolving or at least tackling these endemic environmental problems in Nigeria requires a review of the root cause. In spite of efforts by successive governments to address some of these environmental issues, they still persist. Environmental experts have agreed that the country does not have a well-coordinated national integrated plan of action for environmental management. In today's nitty-gritty, we will critically examine the environment in 2013. How did local and global environmental initiatives and agreements impact on the nation? What can we do in 2014 to better address environmental challenges? These and more will be our focus today on nitty-gritty. To discuss this is Mr. Desmond Majekodumi, an environment activist. Welcome to nitty-gritty, Mr. Desmond.
Thank you.
And my name is Jennifer Igwe. Now, looking at the environment sector for 2013, if you have to do a recap, of what happened in year 2013, what would you say?
I would say thank God. I would just say thank God above anything else, because 2012 saw this country, Nigeria, for the first time experiencing some of the worst environmental disasters that any country can experience. Remember those floods in 2012? And when the news started coming in that there are massive floods in this area, by the time it was over, about half our states were inundated with flood waters.
That was in 2012?
In 2012. Hundreds of people were killed. Hundreds of people were killed. And thousands of people were displaced. So we now realize that, oh, natural disaster can come to Nigeria. Because before, we used to say, well, thank God, we don't have any natural disasters in our country. 2012 hit us with very heavy natural disaster. So, 2013, we were now waiting to see, which one is going to happen this time. And then we got a very, very strong report from the meteorological agency, from NIMET, to say, look out, there's heavy rains coming, and they gave flood alerts. And that's why I say we should say thank God above all else, because those floods were never forthcoming the way they were advertised. And we were very, very, very fortunate, possibly because the alerts that NIMET gave were taken cognizance with, and the people who control the dams, maybe they released dam water a little bit earlier so that it wouldn't build up too much, because one of the causes of the big flood in 2012 was that the dam waters were not released in time. By the time they released it, there was too much water and it exacerbated the flood. So thank God, at least we didn't have that particular disaster. However, the desert did not listen.
So I was even trying to say that you're talking about areas where we had very conspicuous disasters. Okay, what about areas where we didn't have major disasters, but we have critical environmental issues affecting our well-being as a nation?
Yes, and this is the issue. Because of climate change now, a lot of nations are experiencing very, very aberrant and in some cases very strange weather occurrences. And when you have agricultural systems like ours, which 95% are reliant on rain-fed, that is, our agriculture is rain-fed, people will now do their planting and their harvesting in time to the natural rhythms of the rain. Generally, we know when rain will come, when it will cease, when it will come back again. So we have the opportunity to do our agriculture according to those cycles. You do long-term crops in the early part. When you have your August break, you now put in your legumes and short-term crops to take advantage of the short rains. But because of climate change, this situation has shifted and it is no longer guaranteed. So we had a lot of crop failure in 2013 in different areas, especially parts of the northern regions. They had a lot of crop failures simply because they could no longer rely on the steadiness of the weather patterns. Apart from that, Jennifer, apart from that, this terrible encroachment of the desert has just been continuing relentlessly and relentlessly. And you can imagine the pain and the awful misery of, you know, a family that was living in a village for generations and generations. And then within a period of 5 years, this village, the whole entire village, gets totally covered by the sands of the desert. What will those families do? They've now become environmental refugees. And it's been accepted by Joy Ogu, who are our representative to the United Nations, who gave a lecture earlier this year, that one of the major causes of insecurity in our nation, especially in the north, is because of degraded environment causing people to become environmental refugees.
So you say we have a lot of environmental refugees in Nigeria?
Jennifer, we have a lot. It's in the hundreds of thousands. It's been building up over the years. When the desert comes and it takes over a village where families have been used to be living in this village for time immemorial almost, having a very good quality of life. You have your crops, you have your flocks, you have water, good quality of life. Then the village disappears under the sun. And you know there's a saying that a hungry man is an angry man.